Doodlebud here. Today we're doing 6 inks to last a lifetime. If I had to go through my whole entire collection and limit it down and only use 6 for the rest of my life, which would it be? Let's get started. Now before I tell you which 6 I chose, I'm going to do a few hot takes right now and tell you some that I will absolutely not be picking. First ink that came to mind right away that I would not take with me for the rest of my life is Bay State Blue. Why is that? Because I don't hate myself. Another ink that was very easy to choose not to take with me was Iroshizuku Konpeki. I know, this is like the holy grail, most beloved ink there is. You have to take this. No, you don't. You can do way better blue than this ink. Easy. Let's get those out of the way. One of the funnest things with fountain pen inks is sheening inks. And man, are they really cool to look at. But this one, these super sheeny inks are just so ridiculous. It's too much. Every time you write with them, if your hand has any moisture at all, like in the summertime, it's a little bit humid, you touch the page, you get ink all over your hand, everything smudges. These bottles just crust up like crazy. I don't even want to try opening this right now. So, sorry, super sheeny inks. Same goes for you, California Teal. Every time you touch a bottle with the lid on, and even though it looks clean, you're going to stain yourself. Reaching way in the back here is Private Reserve Avocado. I absolutely love the color. It's fantastic color, but it's a crusty ink. So if you leave it in a pen for any kind of decent length of time, it really crusts up. And also the bottle gets lots of ink boogers in there. It just really does turn into a mess. But yeah, it just dries up and leaves a bit of a crust. So I can't live with that the rest of my life. Off you go. Let's move these out of here so I can get started. Now, I broke this into a set of categories, and the way I approached it is more utilitarian. I guess one way you could do it is using color theory. So just pick a few key inks, and if you're really big into colors, you can mix those 6 to create essentially any colors that you want that are out there. I didn't approach it that way, but that is one way to do it. Here are the 6 categories I broke it into. First one that came to mind is I need an ink that's going to perform well for flex pens and will keep up. Next, I'm going to need a permanent ink, just like obvious practicality standpoint. It sucks when your notes get wet and they run, so you need a permanent ink if you're going to address an envelope or something like that. I need a safe ink as well. So this is something I can use on any pen, especially vintage pens. I know it's not going to mess anything up. After that, obviously, you need a Daily Driver black ink. Also, for me, I'm a big fan of shading inks. So I love shading, but some shading inks are just too much. So I wanted just a nice practical shading ink, one you can use every single day and still have some lovely shading that goes to it. And then last one I figured is a fun ink. I still haven't 100% decided. I have 2. I have one of each, a really nice sheening ink and a really nice shimmer ink. So at the end of the video, you want to stay tuned for number 6 to find out which one I pick. I have a flex pen ready for the writing sample because we're going to talk about the flex ink. This was an easy, obvious choice for me, Sargasso C. Not only is it a lovely blue, this is an ink you can use every single day. It's a lovely color, has a little bit of sheen to it, but it's nothing too crazy. You don't gunk up the bottle too much, but it is also a fantastic ink for doing your flex writing. It just seems to keep up. I've never had problems with this. As soon as this bottle runs out, I am going to order another one, and I even engraved the top of it, just a quick pattern with my laser, so it's easy to spot because all these bottles, especially blue, I'm a big blue ink fan, they all look the same from when you're looking down this way. So I even engraved it so I can pick it out fast. So I'm going to use this pen really quick. This is the Good Blue R615. It has a flex nib on it. Let me show you what this ink looks like. I really like this color blue. It's dark, but not too dark. Just has a little bit of sheen, if you can see it here on the camera. Also, feel free to go to mountainofink.com so you can get comparisons and all sorts of stuff, dry times, waterproofness, all those types of things. I can't do all of that just in this video, so there's lots of that information out there. But I like the color a whole lot, and this thing just performs fantastic for flex pens. Anytime I need a good ink, I know it's going to do well for a really flexy nib. Sargasso C is the first one I go for. Let's continue on. Next category was a permanent ink. Now, one of them I thought this could do double duty was Noodler's Black. It's pretty good. Just their standard Noodler's Black does a very good job against water and stuff like that. It's reasonably permanent. It's cheap. You can get it anywhere as well, and it's a half decent color. And I could get a 2-for-1. That could be my permanent ink and also my black ink so I could open up more options. But I have a different black ink I prefer more, and I have a better permanent ink that I like more as well. So that's this one over here. This is by Octopus Fluids. This is their blue koi. I always say koi blue, but sometimes I get it right. But you can see right here in the bottle. So this is interesting stuff. I picked this up quite some time ago, and I fell in love with this ink right away. Now, they say it's not supposed to be left in a pen, in a fountain pen that is. So right after you use it, you should wash the pen out. It's a pigmented ink, but I tell you, I have been daily drivering this in a pen. I'll probably go 3 months at a time, then I'll flush it out. You do need to use pen wash to do a flushing, but if you're using it all the time, I haven't had any problems with it damaging pens. It is a bit more work to clean it out, but for me, it's worth it. You don't want to leave it in a pen for a very long time that you're not using, but daily driver, I only have 6 inks, so I'm going to be using these a lot. This is absolutely going to be my permanent ink. It does very well at holding up and against all sorts of stuff, and it's a really nice color. The pen I've been using it in lately is this Gravitas Sentry pen, all brass. I just finished giving this like a antiquing treatment to it, so I think this looks really cool. I also swapped out the nib. So this is one I got on an Esterbrook Esty, but this is ground by Josh Lax. This is his scribe nib. So it's a really, really fun nib. Also, with the blue koi, you do get lots of nib creep. I'm okay with that, but I know some people would not be okay with that at all. Here you can see the blues side by each, and it's much lighter. It has a little bit of shading to it. But as you can see here, we'll take the mug. I hope, is this fully dry? It's dry. So we got some condensation going on. And yeah, that stuff's really good. This is why this is my #1 pick for a permanent ink. That blue, by the way, that's coming from the Sargasso Sea. Next up is a safe ink, and it's another blue ink. Believe it or not, I do like blue inks. But when I think of the safest ink to put in now, actually, it would be Parker Quink Washable Blue. But it's just too washed out, too boring for me. So this is the one I use all the time. This Pelikan 4001, this is the Royal Blue. I can just buy these ones on Amazon. They're super easy to find. I also like to use it in the cartridge form. It's a lovely looking color. And it just writes well. It's nicely lubricated. I have no bad things to say about this ink. It's not waterproof, but you just put it in any pen. This is probably what I use on my vintage pens the most. In fact, I'll get out my 19, it's an early 50s Pelikan 400 with an oblique double broad. It is in that pen because I know this is not going to damage it, and it's a nice looking color. And the easiest thing is clean up afterwards. I don't have to worry about this really staining a pen or making it hard to clean. You just run the water a couple times, and yeah, it cleans out a pen no problem. Yes, I'm aware it's a pretty dumb idea that 50% of my 6 inks are all blue. I can't have any other inks and half of them are blue. It's a pretty dumb move, but I checked myself and asked myself the questions again. I kept coming back to these. Let's get the next 3. Let's move on to the black ink. I showed you before, Noodlers. I got nothing against it, but I just find also the flow isn't just quite where I like it. This Choukuro by Platinum, it is like the darkest black ink there is out there, they say. I like it, but not as much as this ink here. Now, if you've seen my channel for a little bit, I keep going back to this. This is the Private Reserve Ultra Black. Even says fast dry. I've never actually really even noticed that until just the other day. I just noticed that I really liked the color. I did a test page writing with a few blacks. Let me show you what they all look like comparison to each other. There's another one somewhere here. Here it is, the Faber-Castell Carbon Black. I actually really like this one as well. But let's just do a quick comparison of the blacks that I have. Again, I'm only limited to the ones I have. There are no doubt better selections out there beyond what I'm showing you here, but I just have to limit it to what I have because that's all I can choose. So here's a little sample of the different blacks, the Choukuro up there. It has a slightly different tint than the Noodler, so I don't even know which one is the blackest, but anyways, it's a nice ink. It's good. It's decent for waterproofness, about the same as the Noodler's black. There's the Graphon Faber-Castell Carbon Black. It they call it indelible, so it's not quite permanent. Here is the Private Reserve Ultra Black. It is not waterproof at all, but it just, I don't know what it is, especially in a stub nib. I have a Monteverde Ritma with a stub nib, and I just absolutely love that pen and ink combination. But whenever I want a black ink, I just keep on going for it. There's this other one here, Azure Noir. It doesn't really count. So yeah, that wasn't one of them, but I just kept going back. I really did vacillate a lot of having one with a little more permanency, but that's where the blue koi came in. So I decided to go for the Ultra Black. I'll also do my best to link videos where I feature some of these inks, or even just do a video only about the ink. I might have done one just about the blue koi. So if you want to get a little more information, check in the description. I'll try to put links where you can pick them up as well. Next was a practical shading ink. I sort of gave it away at the end of the last part there with the blacks. So there are some shading inks out there that just work magic. They look beautiful. I want something that's sort of practical. Now, right away, it was these two, Graphon Faber-Castell Stone Gray and Monteverde Azure Noir. There's also this one, the Quirky Leaf. This is an Esterbrook ink, and I have the Quirky Leaf Back to the Land pen. This is a fantastic pairing. Together they look amazing. I just don't know if I love it enough to work it in other pens. The ink will still look the same, but there is something about this combo that really makes me over the moon, and I just don't know if it's the same on other pens, if I would love it as much. Also, just from a practicality standpoint, I don't know if I'd use it as much, but I don't know. I'm still a little unsure about not picking Quirky Leaf because I don't have a green ink on my list yet, and I do like green ink. So now it comes down to Stone Gray and Azure Noir. Azure Noir has been in my Mont Blanc 149 for so long. That's just, for me, it's a perfect pairing. Now, if I had to limit it to pen and ink combinations, there's a good chance my 149 would be in that 6 pens, and I'd have to match this ink with it. But I figured what I could do, if I pick Stone Gray, it has some nice shading to it as well. Nice practical ink, looks great on all sorts of paper. I could always add a little bit of the black ink, just a drop or two, and probably get something fairly close. So that's why I'm sticking with the Stone Gray. I just think I could maybe mix it a little bit. I actually think I do like the Azure Noir more than the Stone Gray, but I really do like it. And I could probably darken it up a little bit using the black ink. But this is the tough one. It really is not including the Quirky Leaf. It is just a super fun ink. If you stayed with me this long, we're now at the end. Ink number 6. That was the fun ink. Let's get these out of the way because they're in the back. I still haven't decided which one to pick, so I'm going to do a little bit of writing and just really think about this. On the left, we have this Desert Rose by Diamine. It is an exclusive with PenVenture. So you can see the box here. There's a PenVenture logo. You can only get it through them, but I really do like it. It has this lovely golden sheen that goes to it. It's a bit of a, I guess, a purpley ink, but you can see there, it's got the gold box around the outside. So we're going to do a writing sample with that. I'm usually not big into sheen inks. This one is mega wet, so it could work nicely with Flex, I think. And it doesn't seem to get too crazy. Like it's not rubbing off everywhere and causing a mess. So I could see myself sticking around with this one if I had to. The other one is this. It's a shimmer ink. It's a Robert Oster ink. This is Tulip Fields from the Dutch Pen Show. This was sent to me by Appleboom a while ago. Yost reached out to me and I reviewed a bunch of pens, and this is one of the inks he included. Again, I'm usually not a shimmer guy because these things just clog up your pens and they're a bit of a headache. But nonetheless, I really do like this color. And I like green. I don't have any green inks that are in here. This is purple, which is sort of in that same color palette. So there's a good chance I pick this one, but I still haven't decided. So I'm going to write with these right now, and then we'll make a decision. writing these out on the paper, it actually made my decision fairly easy. This is Clairefontaine. I'll show you some other paper here in a second, which really does amp things up. But the Desert Rose does have a nice sheen. It's not showing a ton on the Clairefontaine for whatever reason. Even my Muji paper, this has a lovely sheen. It's a nice color, but I got too many colors that are too close. I also love green inks. I didn't have my Quirky Leaf, so I figure I'll go with this. It's a different green altogether. I'll compare it in a second, but it does have a nice bit of shading to it. It's sort of it's just a nice fresh green. Reminds me of grass, or as they say here, tulip fields. So, I'm sorry for bumping you there, but I don't know if the shimmer is picking up. I can see it, no problem. All depends how much gets down into the feed, but here we are here on Romeo paper, so you start to get a lot more the sheen action going on with the Desert Rose. But there it is there. There's that Robert Oster Tulip Fields. Just has some nice coloring to it, and you can get those little bit of sparkles going in. Not the same as the Quirky Leaf, different color altogether. But since I'm not picking this, I'm going to go with the Tulip Fields 2003 Dutch Pen Show for my final ink, the fun one. Okay, just after 1 o'clock in the morning, I better shut this down and also clean all this up. That was my 6 inks to last a lifetime. If you want to play along at home, let us know down there in the comments. What would be your top 6? Is there some that I missed, or the things I'm missing out on here? Also, I can only go by the inks I've experienced. I have way more inks than this, but I went through all of them and I narrowed it down to this 6. Obviously, there are some I haven't tried, and if I tried those, maybe it would make it in there. But let's chat down in there. If you liked it, again, thumbs up and subscribe. If you really liked it, want to check out more stuff, check out the join button as well. Again, I'll put as many details as I can in the description. Got a bunch more stuff coming up. Got some pens over in there to review, but I got to get some sleep. So we'll catch you next time.